Shalom, it's Andy. Yom Kippur just ended in Israel, so I wanted to offer some words of Torah about the high holidays. Today, Yom Kippur is 10 days after Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the 7th month. Yes, the Jewish New Year begins in the 7th month. You'll just have to trust me on that. It's too complicated to explain at the moment. So, in between those 2 days is a period of prayer and studying and forgiveness, and it leads up to Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, when our tradition says the Book of Life and the Book of Death are sealed for the coming year. And our tradition says that God first opens those books on Rosh Hashanah and inscribes everyone either in the Book of Life, meaning your actions of the previous year are worthy of another year, or the Book of Death, meaning you're going to die in the coming year. And there's some other interpretations about what exactly the Book of Life and the Book of Death mean, so that's one interpretation of what that's referring to. Which raises an interesting question, because Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are Jewish holidays, and like most Jewish holidays, there is a prohibition on all sorts of work. And that's the general understanding, is you can't do work. There's kind of some exceptions here and there. It's more complicated than that. But basically you can't do work. And one of the types of work that's forbidden on those holidays is writing. Which leads to the obvious question, how is God writing our names in the Book of Life and the Book of Death on Rosh Hashanah if it's a holiday when you're not supposed to write? So one answer we can draw in the situation is to say that, well, what allows you to break a prohibition of these holidays? And the answer is to save a life. So Jewish law in almost all circumstances can be violated in order to save a life, and so this would be one of those circumstances, meaning that God has to write all of us in the Book of Life. He can't write us in the Book of Death because that would involve breaking the prohibition on writing and not saving a life. So therefore, we all go in the Book of Life in order to save our life. Well, what does that mean? Obviously, people are dying. So what would it mean to say that God would be putting everyone in the Book of Life? It just means that we would say that no one is deserving of death. That although people make mistakes and do bad things and might be doing evil things all year, we would say that no one is without redemption, no one is without potential. Of course, you know, in the Jewish tradition, we're all made in God's image in Genesis, and so therefore, when you evaluate any of our actions, you would say everyone is deserving of life. Everyone's life is innately valuable. So then, what are the Book of Life and the Book of Death? What's in the Book of Death if we're not being written in there in order to mark us for death in the coming year? Well, one understanding of the Book of Death is that it's a recording of everyone who's died previously. And when it's open for God to continue to pass judgment on those people's lives. Because after you die, it's not as if you no longer have any impact in the world. And so God, in our tradition, would be looking at your life and saying, did you make the world a better place? Did you lead people into a good path or into doing the right thing? Or did you sow discord and strife in the world, and even after you've died, are the negative ramifications of your life still being felt? So when the Book of Death is being used, it's not being used on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur to record who's going to die. It's being used to evaluate those people who've died and what their impact continues to be on the world, which can allow us to draw two conclusions. One is that when we think about all of the people who've affected us in our lives up to this point, who are no longer with us, either because they've literally died or because they're just not where we are anymore geographically, or we're no longer in touch with them, how is our life reflecting on them? Are we doing honor to their memory and to their contributions to the world? Are we taking their legacy and doing something positive with it? Or is our actions reflecting negatively on them? So when we think about the teachers, the mentors, the relatives in our life who have taught us something or attempted to lead us in a good path, are we showing honor to their memory? And secondly, we can think about our own actions in the world and what will happen when we're gone and what will be recorded about us in the book of death. So once all of us pass away, will our impact on the world have been a positive one? Will the people that knew us and learned from us be doing good things and reflecting honorably on our memory? Or will we have influenced people in a bad way? So as many of you are finishing up the holidays, I would just send the message that you can rest assured you're in the book of life, that no one is deserving of death, that when people die, it's not a reflection on any of their negative actions, and that our tradition would say, we should see God in our image, and God sees us in His image, and therefore every life is valuable, and every life has potential, and every life should be cherished. And more importantly, we should consider our own actions in the world and what sort of impact we're having and what sort of impact we'll continue to have even after we're dead. And we should act in a way that shows honor and goodness on those people who impacted us, who are no longer with us.